Anderson, Director of School Safety and Security, to the podium to present. You're already there, Johnny, on the spot. Thank you, Shane.
Ready to go, guys. Good morning, everybody. What I want to present today is this is a 3-year safety and security audit. TEA makes every school district in the state of Texas audit the campuses and send a report back to them. So that's what I'm going to go over with you guys today. So the process of this was me and my team, we went out to every campus and we had a checklist of things we looked for. We looked for fire extinguishers, AEDs, silent notification technology, your Crisis Go app, just a big list of things. So we went out, we got this information, I came back, I put it into a software system, and I got just dozens and dozens of pages reports for every campus. I shared this with the principal of every campus and had a meeting with the principal of every campus just to show what we found and just to kind of discuss it, because the admin of every campus has a good thumb of what the safety needs are for each campus. So in my opinion, one of the main things you want to do with the audit is what's going to come of the future of it. What are you going to do with those findings? I'm going to kind of share that at the end of this meeting. TEA also has I call it the big umbrella picture of a district. Are we doing these certain things as a district? I'm going to kind of go through these things one at a time. Some of these things you know, some of them you don't. I'm just going to present it just to make sure we're all on the same page for the future. All right, the first one, as we all know, we do have a police force. We do have a Lubbock ISD police force. We do have. It's not on. That one's not working.
Yeah. That's where we're getting a new system. Yep.
So again, we do have our own Lubbock ISD police force. We do have a chief of police. We all know it's Eric Tiarina. The officers do report to Eric Tiarina. Eric Tiarina does report to Kathy Rollo, and that's kind of the hierarchy of how we do our police work here in Lubbock ISD. State law says they want us to have a police officer at every campus. We're working on that. We're getting there. Last board meeting, you guys assigned the good cause exception for that, and we'll just continue to work on getting that taken care of. So a lot of people don't realize we do have licensed police officers. Okay, they've gone through classes. They are true police officers, and they actually continue to take classes. These are called TCO classes. All right, just to get the most up-to-date training on what it takes to be a police officer. So again, they do these trainings on a yearly basis. Naturally, we might have an emergency at some point in time that requires more than just the Lubbock ISD Police Department. We might need LPD. We might have a bomb threat or an active shooter situation. So we actually have a memorandum of understanding with the Lubbock Police Department that they will help us out if we ever have one of these type of emergencies. As far as job responsibilities of the police, they're only tasked with duties related to law enforcement intervention and are not tasked with behavioral or administrative duties better assessed by other district employees. So basically, our police officers are not acting as assistant principals. They're not putting people in ISS. Our police officers are not counselors or anything like that. They're here to basically uphold the law in our schools. All right, there's the police section. Any questions about the police section? I'll give you all a chance to ask at the end of each one. All right, next section that TEA wants to cover is the School Safety and Security Committee. This is a committee that meets 3 times a year. Nancy, thanks for coming to our, as the school board president. She's on the committee. Kathy Rollo hasn't missed a meeting with me yet, so she's on the committee as well. Mitzi, thank you for showing up to the last 2 meetings, and Mary Ann's on the committee as well. John served on it in the past as he's been to a couple meetings. So again, what this School Safety and Security Committee does is I present an array of topics so these different people can actually hear what are we doing in safety and security? What are we doing to make sure we have the right hardware, that our doors are working correctly? What are we doing to make sure we have the right communication in place, and just all these different areas from threat assessment to suicide assessment. So the state of Texas actually requires certain people to be on this committee. I have to be on there. Eric Tiarina has to be on there as the chief of police. We have other members of LPD on the committee. Board of Trustees, District Superintendent, Christopher Anderson's on the committee as well. We have parents on there, and we also have Lubbock County and Lubbock City emergency leaders as well. So with all these different lenses of how to view safety, it helps us just help to prepare the best plans for the district. Any questions about the School Safety and Security Committee? Keep on trucking along then. Okay. Emergency management information. Every year in the month of September, I write over 1,000-page report with help from TEA called the Emergency Operations Plan. And this has every single thing that happens with emergencies, before emergencies, during emergencies, after emergencies. What's the incident command? That means what's the hierarchy? Who's in charge? Who's in charge of communications? Who's in charge of just the different areas, just so it's all down on paper. And that also helps how we train as well, and use this information just to kind of develop a plan, so on and so forth. So that's the main thing, is this emergency operations plan that we put into effect, and it has all sorts of things in there. I'm gonna go over a few just things that some people don't know. I have to have a plan if there's a railroad track within 1,000 feet of a school. You might ask, do we have any schools within 1,000 feet of a railroad track? Yes, Carmona Harrison is. So there has to be a plan. What if there's chemicals on this train and the chemical spill? We have a plan for that. What happens if the train derails? We have a plan for that. So that's a lot of my answers to a lot of things, is we do have a plan for that, and we'll execute that when it happens. Other things, the state wants to know, what do we do about voting? A lot of cities use campuses for voting and things like that. We do the same thing at Lubbock ISD as well. A lot of the voting takes place in the gymnasiums of elementary schools. That's a great place safety-wise, because a lot of our elementary gymnasiums are actually not connected to the main building. So people coming in to vote, they won't see students won't see them. So we're able to share a common place without actually having to see and be around each other for that. So very helpful safety-wise. All right. Next area is threat assessment, suicide prevention, and trauma-enforced practices. We do have what's called a behavioral threat assessment team. We have one at the district. We meet every month. Again, kind of like the safety and security committee, many different lenses in that room. I'm in there. Police are in there. Special ed's in there. School social workers are in there. And other members of central office as well. Each campus has their own behavioral threat assessment team as well. The principal, the assistant principals, the counselors, caseworkers for special ed, possibly the SRO, the nurse, all these different people that can help with some of these suicide/threat assessment cases, and we'll get into more of that in a second. So, our students, if there is a need for a threat assessment or the need for a suicide assessment, we get that information usually from the students. Students a lot of times don't just come right up to an assistant principal and say, hey, I have this problem. So we have this app called the Stop It app. And what the Stop It app does, it allows students to anonymously report things that are going on. They could report, hey, my friend over here is talking about suicide. When they put it into the Stop It app, that report is sent to the counselors, it's sent to the principals of the school, it's sent to me, it's sent to the police department, so we can help out that student. Okay, another student could put in the report, I saw a weapon in my friend's bag in science class today. Then that situation could be handled appropriately right there. We get many of these Stop It reports every single day. Students are using it with fidelity. We've been using it for about 6 years now. So I think it's very important to have the same system just so students get comfortable with it right there. So by law, you do have to have an anonymous reporting system. Ours is Stop It. Again, the people on the Behavioral Threat Assessment Committee, I have members from counseling, mental health services, classroom instruction, special education, school administration, and law enforcement. The question asks, do we employ nurses at our district? Yes, we do. Do we employ social workers? Yes, we do. Do we provide suicide prevention training to our counselors? Yes, our counselors do have suicide prevention training, and our teachers have training in it as well. Our students also have access to phone numbers like the National Suicide Prevention Line, the Crisis Text Line. If you ever look at a student's badge, there's usually 2 of them. The normal badge that we all have right here. You'll have your drills possibly behind it, but also there'll be phone numbers on the back of the students' badges of this information as well. So if they're ever having a tough time one night, they can use these phone numbers right there. Also, if they ever log into the Stop It app, there's a crisis helpline there as well if they're personally having the problems. So very helpful. Each campus has a campus behavior coordinator, and that'd be the principals of the campus. If a threat assessment gets to a higher level, the principal can help decide what's the next steps of this threat assessment of the person that is conducting the threats. Most threat assessments are on the threat assessments when they're actually doing the investigation. Usually the SRO's involved in that as well, just to take the report and all that, because again, threatening another person is technically against the law, so our officers do help with that as well. Okay, any questions about threat assessments, suicide assessments? Guys, I'm going through this real quickly.
Yeah,
This
no, you're
report
good.
was very long, and I took the highlights. Yes.
I know that Melissa Duncan Sharp
Yes.
at Lubbock High.
Mm-hmm. Know her well.
Organization, yes,
Mm-hmm.
that has a suicide
Yes.
kids, and they help, as a matter of fact,
Mhm.
students are.
Mhm.
I guess my question is, do you know how many suicides in LSU we have?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can look up via Stop It, and I have another system called Lightspeed of people that typed in information about suicide that were just looking for more information on it, or people that said, hey, my friend is thinking about it right here. I could go look that information up and get it back to you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And mhm. Yes, and with that, Melissa Duncan's organization is called Sunflower Over Suicides, and basically they get the word out and have walks and things like that. So she's done a great job with that over there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. One thing about suicide, when we took away the cell phones from the students this last year, that means they were having to use Chromebooks to look up information. So actually the information that we got, we're starting to find more and more information of possible students thinking about suicide. And the great thing about us getting this information is now the counselors have it. So the counselors can actually intervene in this before the students continue to think about it or try something they might possibly regret later. So you can talk to Dr. Cicely Alexander about it. Her counselors are spending a lot more time with mental health than they possibly have in the past. So we have software systems, Lightspeed and Stop It, both help give us the information to help protect our kiddos. Yes, mm-hmm. And the counselors do a great job with it. They call them in, and they do have a procedure that they use. They do have training on what to ask, when to ask, and when the student needs more help, they have places they can go to get the students more help as well. It's not, when a student needs that extra help, they take care of it immediately right there. So that's good. Thanks for the questions.
If we have actually had a student commit suicide, I have notified you guys of that.
We've had a student that did commit suicide this summer after she graduated. We didn't hear about it because she was no longer our student.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of sometimes
Mm-hmm.
broke my heart.
Yes.
I saw her graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And so she ended up committing suicide a couple of months after that. This year. Thanks, Jane.
All right, let's move on to bullying now. So bullying, every school district has to have a policy that prohibits bullying, and naturally we have that as well. It's in the student handbooks and also the student code of conduct. Lubbock ISD, we do not allow bullying in our schools, and with that, there's counseling options for people that have been bullied. There's counseling options for people that witness bullying, but we also want to counsel the bully as well. Just to, hey, why are you doing this behavior? What's the next steps and all that? So there's plans with all that. All right, so again, bullying prevention. And just like threats, just like suicides, bullying is also reported a lot on the Stop It app as well. So again, yes, some students do go straight up to assistant principals, let them know what's happening, but we do get a lot of action on that, on the Stop It app. Any questions about bullying?
It's out there. It is bad. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
But I have heard from parents that the removal of cell phones from school has reduced some of the banter during school that could escalate. So
I agree
think
exactly.
we appreciate so much the legislature making that a statewide decision. That was very good,
Yes.
in my opinion.
And it was, the assistant principals were working a lot of hours looking at different apps and things like that, and he said, she said, and just pages and pages of of online bullying. It was, you know, as Ms. Chavez said, you know, it can get bad at times, and
Yeah.
just taking that away from the students during the school day, from what I can tell by talking to the administrators, has really helped out this last year
Especially
with bullying.
lunchtime, you know,
Yes.
distraction. So I'm grateful for that.
Yes, ma'am. All right, let's talk about our active threat exercise. Once every 3 years, Lubbock ISD, we partner with LPD, the county, the sheriff's department, fire department, EMS, SWAT, and we have an active threat situation where we actually practice an active shooter situation at one of our schools. Not this last summer, but the summer before, the summer of 2025, we did one at Atkins Middle School. It's our first time to do one in the middle school, and we always do it during the summertime. And that's when when Lubbock County, their emergency department, they'll actually put on and actually script what an active shooter situation might look like. And so what they did is they set up a hostage situation mixed with an active shooter situation, and they practiced 2 or 3 different scenarios with this right there. So there's a lot to practice. We practiced what would happen if the media shows up. Kathy Rollo, Dr. Rollo actually gives an interview, a mock interview, what it would look like if there was an active shooter. So she gets practice with it. Amanda Castro-Chris gets to practice with emergency messaging, as we try to send out emergency messaging every 15 to 20 minutes. So it gives all of us just a chance to practice for one of the worst case scenarios. Central office gets to practice what reunification looks like, because after an active shooter situation, all these students have to be reunited with their parents. And as we know, like if a high school has to go through this, that's a possible 2,000 students that have to be reunited with their parents right there. And it does take time with that. So again, I always thank the City of Lubbock. City of Lubbock does a great job working with us to practice for these things, because if it ever did happen, it would be all hands on deck and all of us having to work together. So us working on our communication and our teamwork, I think, is very important with all that.
And I can't let that go without saying the incident last year, the training paid off, because
Yes.
man, it went so well for a terrible situation to have a hoax threat, but it went so well.
And I thought, I agree 100%. I thought Lubbock High handled that situation well. Central office handled that well, the students, the parents. And we do have a monthly meeting for reunification where we practice different phases of it. And I always say, we're going to be ready. I hope we don't ever have to use it. Well, last year we had to use it. So I'm glad we were ready for it and
Yeah,
everything.
and then it was just one more practice
Yes.
in the end. But y'all were very prepared and the training showed, so
Thank you. And what we always say during it is the students, if they ever have to go through an active threat situation, when it comes to reunification, that needs to go very well, because they might just have experienced one of the worst things of their life right there. So it's one of the things that I just want to make sure we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed as we go through those things. So with active threat exercises, there's a lot of communication that goes with it. You have to let the media know what's going on. Why are there all these police cars at Atkins Middle School on this day? I actually went out and talked to all the neighbors around Atkins Middle School, door to door, let them a flyer if they weren't there, just to let them know there's nothing going on. We're practicing. It's not a real situation. Don't want people up in arms over things like that either. I have to turn this into the state, the date, what we did, why we did it, how we did it, and all that good stuff. We create a safe zone around the active threat assessment. You got to remember, we have a lot of different people that own guns that are practicing with this. We don't want real guns in the simulation. So everybody's checked when they come in just to make sure that it's a safe zone for us to practice in. What I think is the most critical part of the active threat assessment is the after action review, so we can talk about what went well, what do we need to work on, and just kind of discuss things out. 'Cause sometimes in the heat of the moment, when you're doing one of these exercises, you don't have time to sit there and talk what we need to do better and different. So I always think it's very important to have an after-action review when we look at these things. We're able to practice all of our communications. Does our communications work going out to parents? Yes, we send those communications out all the time. We practiced it here as well. Do we have scripts for different emergency communications? Yes, we use them from time to time. So Amanda Castro-Chris done a great job putting together these scripts for communication with families, as we always like our families to know what's going on in an emergency situation. All right, any questions about the active threat exercise? Okay, 44A, let's look at bomb threats real quick. I got with technology about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and a lot of times when people call in a false bomb threat, they use it through an anonymous phone number. You know, your cell phone, you get that phone number, it says anonymous or something like that. We were able to get a lot of those phone calls blocked from Lubbock ISD. So the people that actually call Lubbock ISD, any school, central office, anything like that, it has to come from a real working phone number. All right, that just kind of makes the hoaxes where they don't happen as much. But if somebody does call in, every secretary in district has what's called a bomb threat checklist. It should be sitting right by them, so if somebody calls it a bomb threat, they can pull out the checklist, questions they could ask, things that they could write down. And this bomb threat checklist has been approved by different safety agencies and things like that. So very helpful that they have that right there. I said this earlier, but 44B talks about getting communication out to parents. Anytime we have an ongoing emergency episode that might take a while, we try to get communication out about 15 to 20 minutes. And that's what we did at the Lubbock High. Reunification, and when we bust all the students over here and everything. And I think that really helps get the true story out. We want to tell the story. We don't want people on Facebook to tell the story. We want to let everybody know what's going on. By law, we have to do so many drills a year, and these aren't drills that are made up or anything like that. These are things that TEA says you must do these. So a secure drill means there's some threat outside and we don't want anybody to go inside. It could be a pack of dogs that are biting people, could be police work in the area. We just don't want people outside to run into it or anything like that. We all probably know what a lockdown drill is. There's some threat inside the building where we want to keep our kids safe inside the building. Evacuation drill could be a bomb threat. There's some reason why we need to get out of the building to keep our kiddos safe. Shelter in place, severe weather, tornado drill. We've gone through, every school knows where the safest place is for the students to be during a tornado drill, and we all know the good old fire drills that we've been doing. What's the fastest way to get from your classroom outside to safety. So again, we have to track these drills. I turn them into TEA on a yearly basis. Other things that we have at Lubbock ISD, we have bleeding control station. We have bags called Stop the Bleed bags. And in these bags, there's gauze to actually, if somebody has a bad wound on themselves, you can stuff the wound to stop the bleeding. There's tourniquets in these bags you could put above the wound to help where people could possibly not bleed out. And the thing about these bags are we don't just provide the bags. It's actually law that we provide training to teachers and students as well. So teachers and students watch a video over how to stop the bleeding, how to use the tourniquet, how to stuff the wound. And actually, Lubbock EMS comes out, and for every secondary campus, they provide training for every student to come by and actually practice stuffing a wound on a mannequin, I call them dummies, on the dummies that's laying on the table, how to use a tourniquet and how to do that correctly. So I think that's just good knowledge for students to have right there, and you just never know when you might need it. Could save a life someday with it. So good stuff right there. And again, these bleeding control stations in just about every classroom in Lubbock ISD. Okay. Also on our campus, we have AED machines. Those are the automated external defibrillators. That's what's used when somebody's having a heart attack in the building. Okay, the nurses keep up with that. They make sure that it has proper batteries, that it works. They do tests on it. Also, Lubbock Fire Department comes through and checks on those as well, as it's part of their checklist for the county.
Those, and we have saved lives.
Mm-hmm. So very important to have them. It's actually law this year, a new one. The nurses actually, during our hold drill, have to practice using an AED machine on a mannequin, just so that they get the real practice kind of in a real type of situation of using one of these things. So we've added that to the schedule as well. Also, 49 right here, drug training. You know, drugs have changed over the years. We have vapes now. We didn't have vapes 15 years ago. Fentanyl, you know, it's around, different opioids, things like that, meth, you know, all these things are out there, and training our students over it. We actually have a third-party organization that's been approved by our SHAC committee that comes in and gives the students in the secondary campuses training over drugs. We have policies. If we ever do find a vape on campus, principals do turn that into the police officer that's helping with that case, and the police officer takes care of that, just so we don't have all these vapes laying around on campus and all that. So we have policies for that as well. When people check in through School Safe ID, number 50 right here, School Safe ID is connected to the National Sex Offender Database. So if a sex offender tries to check into one of our campuses, it alerts the staff, it sends a text message to administration. The administration can call the SRO, and the SRO can talk to that person that's going to come into the building and determine what the parental rights are mixed with their sex offender status, and the SROs take care of that for us since they know the law and can look it up and everything. So we have that as well. If you ever look at door number 1, we have sex trafficking signs on the outside of door number 1. Just it's required by state law that we have these sex trafficking signs on that. And one of the last things, every school district has to have what's called silent panic alert technology. That's our Crisis Go app. If an emergency ever happens, every faculty member of Lubbock ISD, including subs, has to have the Crisis Go app on their phone, to where if they see something, they can get on there and let the whole school know that there is an emergency on that campus. You don't need principal's permission or anything like that to start an emergency. If you see something, you start it right then. So that's our silent panic technology. Maps, by law, we have to have maps in every school. We also have to provide these maps to law enforcement, our departments, and all that good stuff. Just in case we ever have an emergency and they need maps, they have it right at their disposal. We've already turned that into them. Walkthroughs. Usually the fire departments, when they hire new people, will send the new rookie fire people. They'll walk through our different schools. Police officers will walk through our different schools, and the county emergency people will walk through them as well, just so that they know what they're looking at. We also have to look at cybersecurity. Okay, 58 on here. Cybersecurity. We do have a cybersecurity coordinator with Lubbock ISD who makes sure that our systems are safe. He has had training, and he's had AI intelligence training as well. Our teachers, our staff members have also had cybersecurity training and AI training as well. 61A, we talked about a second ago. We are enforcing the cell phone policy in Lubbock ISD, so schools are doing a great job with that, making sure that the phones are off and out of sight and not being used during the school day. And 61B talks about if they are used, is there disciplinary measures? And yes, our schools do have disciplinary measures if this happens. So that's information. Last part to this meeting, audit findings by talking with the principals, the campuses. One of the things we're starting to look at is buses. Every time we order a new bus, they're going to have 3-point seat belts on them now. We're starting to get cameras put in buses at the front of the bus, and cameras inside the bus as well, so we can see what's going on and everything. So that process has been started with that, and a possible navigation system in them as well. Fencing, that was voted on with the bond election, so we're going to have new elementary school, mainly playground fencing. That project will get started at some point. We're also looking at fencing possibly around the aquatic center and LHS tennis courts. Is that just an area that needs it? And also with gates that shut automatically. And we do have the new camera server in, so we can hold more cameras. So we're looking to get more cameras, especially long distance cameras. I want to get parking lots, football fields, and areas where students are walking to campus. As soon as a student enters campus ground, it'd be nice that we could actually see everything that happens on the camera. So these are future goals right there. Guys, I am done. Thank y'all. Appreciate the time. Is there any last questions?
Just a comment, Shane. Thank you to you and your team for what you do. Our daughter got to serve as a superintendent scholar while she was at Lubbock High School, and she mentioned to us once that you all had a round table where you talked to students about their feedback and their concerns about safety, and that was very meaningful to her. I think students worry about this more than we realize, and she said it made her feel better to know all of the links that the district goes to keep students safe every day. So thank you for having that opportunity for students, and thank you for what you do.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Good.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Shane.
Shane. And just a reminder, the cameras that Shane talked about on the buses is part of our contract with
Durham. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Next, we will move to the first reading of the TASB Policy Update 127. Yeah. Misty Reaver, Chief Academic Officer.
All right, so this
Ready to
might
go.
not be quite as exciting as Shane's information. Update 127, we are still talking about the 89th legislature session. This is seen as a cleanup bill. So what this means is that you're gonna see this red graphic on many of the slides today, which means it's just a language or a policy adjustment, or we're moving something to a different policy so that it makes more sense, but we're not changing the core meat of what the policy is saying. So when we do have a change, I'll point those out, but a lot of times it's just a language change. This is your first reading. We'll have second reading next week at Student Achievement. Third will be at the board workshop meeting in September, and then we'll bring this to you at the end of September for a vote. This, for those of you that are new, this will also be a part of your every Friday superintendent update, and you are welcome. The binder you can see over here is if you want to print out all the legal and local policies and read them, you are more than welcome to do so. I'm also happy to get copies of those for you if you want. Just to frame a little bit also, so we're all on the same page, legal policies you vote on, but there is no option. They are putting the law into place, and so we are doing those. Local policies, and you'll see just a handful of those, we have options on language and how those are worded. If you look at my binder over here, that very first pink tab, our local policies are very small. There's only a few, a lot more legal policies that we don't have a choice. So just so we're all on the same page. All right. Policy is separated into sections. So we're going to talk about sections A through F today. Excuse me, actually through G. We just have local through F. And I'll try to give you context about what the policy is about, what that section is about, and what we're going to look at. So A is about board member conduct, ethics, and basic governance. If you look at this section, these are legal updates. They were created to do some language cleanup around House Bill 8. House Bill 8 has a section that is now part of Education Code that has legal impacts for the commissioner's rules on school improvement campuses and what he is allowed to do in the closing and non-closing. We've shown you slides about what can happen if you have a D or an F campus and what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do in consolidation. This puts it into put it in education code. Now it puts it in as part of every district's policy. So it's all updated and the language is clear. A has no local updates or changes. Okay, and stop me if you have any questions, so I'm happy to answer. B is about board governance, operating procedures, board meetings, and superintendent qualifications. This section is just changing the footnotes and the cross-reference. So in this section, they had to connect them to different legal policies. So the only changes that you see on here is there's a scratch out and it moves it to another policy. This is a local change. These are reasons for superintendent non-renewal. It added specific language to change the disability clause to say with or without reasonable accommodation. And then it added SB 12 guidelines around DEI and saying that if you were engaging in or assigning an individual anything prohibited by law around DEI, it added that to the contract pieces. This is section C. Section C is business, support services, contracts, fiscal management, and facilities. Sometimes people refer to this as cash, cops, computers, and cafeterias. It helps you to remember all of those C things that go in that space. You can see C had lots of policy revisions. Again, though, these policy revisions were looking at some specific changes that either came down from the feds or connected to things that were language already. So the micro purchase threshold was adjusted. This is a federal change that says this is a limited amount where you have to seek an RFP or an RFQ. They just changed some of the dollar amounts from the federal government, which then changes it to the state of Texas. They also had some updates on security and safety. This is around commissioned peace officers and school marshals, which doesn't apply for us, but also we have to include it anyways. They made some adjustments in instructional materials allotment, saying that if you are having to purchase additional library software in light of everything as part of SB 13, you could purchase it there. They changed the rules on record management and how long you have to retain records. And then they changed some rules on the district website and what you have to post, and we were already in compliance. So, C got really exciting. This takes the same things that we just talked about and just separates them out a little bit so that you can see the topics that were specific. The records were around nutrition, technology websites we just talked about, supplies and transportation that connects to being able to make purchases, and then security personnel. The one local update was just a language change. It was under our fiscal management goals and objectives, and all they did, the cross-reference changed to a different policy. So when they switch a letter, we have to make a footnote change and bring it in front of the board to accept that change. So that's all it is a footnote change. D is about personnel and procedural rules. So sometimes we talk about deputies, directors, and those on duty. And this one, you're also going to see lots of legal updates and many local updates, but it is language change. It is not changing the practice of what we're doing with personnel. They took some policies and divided them as a recommendation from TASB so that you don't have the same personnel rules for principals as you do for counselors and teachers in the same policy. So if things change in the future, it just makes it easier. So they call this one a massive cleanup in Section D. It really didn't change significantly the work that we do. So when you look at this section, that what I'm referring to specifically is D legal became DH and DP legal so that we could separate out. The words did not change. We just now have two policies. And one of the references TASB makes on this is it's hard sometimes for people in the public to find the right policy when they're trying to understand something. So if they can separate things a little bit clearer, that makes it easier. The DC legal is just a cross-reference. And then, so you're gonna see over and over again, lots of cross-reference and lots of adjustments. And DC local that you will be adopting, throughout the policy, previously it said superintendent or designee. There is a policy in A that says anytime it says superintendent, it can mean the superintendent or designee, but the superintendent is still responsible. So you don't have to repeat that throughout the entire policy. So they are eliminating it, which requires that you then vote on a new policy. And then it talks, so you'll see that, that's in superintendent authority, in posting vacancies. They took out exit procedures. They said it was just a dated practice that didn't actually fit what districts were doing any longer. And that is something that should go in our procedural manual, not actually in policy. And then you cannot assist an employee. This is a change in the last. You cannot assist an employee in attaining a new job if they have misconduct or sexual allegations from your district, which I think was an intuitive statement, but now it is written and will come through in local policy. That matches legal already, so it's part of DHA legal, so both of those will be adopted at the same time. DH local on employee standards, it updated the educator code of ethics took out gifts and solicitations and moved that, and then made lots of cross-reference. This is not a language change in the Educator Code of Ethics, it is a clarity. So it took 2 sentences and made them into 4, so that it is very explicit when it talks about educator misconduct. No new words, just simply stretches out the sentences into bullet points, so that when you look at it from the outside lens, you can see it very clearly instead of being in a paragraph. Again, that requires that you adopt. This is what I referred to before. So previously, DP had rules for principals and for counselors. They're very short policies in our local policy, but they'll now be separated into 2 policies. No language change, just simply separated so people can find them a little bit easier. So that is the other half. It will now be DPB. And this will refer specifically to others or school counselors. Same language, nothing changed, just put it into a new policy. In E, this is about curriculum, instruction, grading, and parents' rights. So you'll see a number of legal updates in this area. Some of the things that it references is getting us ready for SST testing, that new STAR testing. So a lot of House Bill 8 updates inside these. So in EB, it will explicitly state that you cannot end school before May 15th. If you end before May 15th, then the mandatory days for testing, not this year, but the next year, would be after you get out of school. It's not a problem for us. We've never ended that way, but it now will be a part of our rules and regulations. It also talks about optional school day, which doesn't apply to us, and updates minutes. These are for districts that are doing 4-day schools or 4-day work week. And so it gives some understanding about what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do with minutes. Again, does not apply to us. And then it updated EFA, so a parent can request an instructional materials review, but it updated the language that you cannot request that more than 1 time a year. This is not about library books. This is about curriculum in the classroom, and you cannot ask for a material review more than once a year for the same thing. So it updated EFA to change that. Then it also changed the language around economics. As you know, we've already switched to personal financial literacy. And so it just explicitly spells out to match education code that you can offer both, but you need kids in personal financial literacy first. We already do that, plus our AP courses. So great opportunity for kids, and we've already met all of that. So EHBB is a gifted and talented update. This explicitly states that you cannot use race, ethnicity, sex, socioeconomic status, or disability for consideration. We are a few years ahead of this already in changing our rubrics, and so we already match, but now local code matches legal that will match what is stated in policy and in practice. F is about parental rights. And so you will see on this section, it is a revised policy all the way down. This entire section looks at what are we doing for parental rights, but it is a language change. So the law was passed, then the education code gets updated, then we have to go in and tweak policy to make sure that our language matches. So all of these are already what we're doing in practice, what is taking place, but we need to just do some tweaks in language code to match. We do have to update FFF local. This is around student welfare. This updates notifying parents of misconduct of a teacher. It does not change our practice. We've already done this. We were ahead of this before the law even came into place. We talked about this in the last update. They are just tweaking the language in this FFF local to make sure that it matches, but we already follow what was there from Senate Bill 571. G is about contract services. This section has some updated language on getting a citation for tobacco and e-cigarettes. It also talks about being able to use your school facilities for religious purposes and updates if you use them on a regular and consistent basis. That's in legal, so we don't get to pick on that one. And then the last one is our relationship with universities and colleges, and just updates things that were already in practice around partnerships, but make sure that it now matches in legal policy as well for contracts with 2- and 4-year universities. This specifically is about dual credit. We already have those partnerships, those MOUs in place. It's just updating in language. There are no local in G, and so that is the end of update 127, unless you have questions. All right, we'll do this again.
Good, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Misty.
Thank
And it will be
you.
in your update each
Yeah.
well until we approve, so.
Okay, very good, thank you, Misty. All right, I'd like to invite Miranda Ruvacabal, to Executive Director of Assessment and Accountability, to the podium to present.
She's pulling her presentation. I just want to take a moment and thank Miranda. This was the first year that we have done our projections internally completely. We've usually contracted that out. That person that we have contracted with has retired and is no longer doing it. And Miranda's projections, her first time to do them, were spot on. So we
Way
are
to
so
go.
grateful.
Okay,
for
quit
her.
looking at that computer and let us give you a attaboy. Good job.
Thank you so much. I am very excited to
Yeah.
share this. So, good morning.
Good
President
morning.
Sharp,
Good morning.
Dr. Rollo, Board of Trustees. Today I have the 2026 A through F ratings for us. Okay, so we are looking just to review the A through F accountability system really briefly. Remember, A through F is broken up into 4 domains. We have for elementary and middle school, domain 1 is made up of 100% STAR. For high school, it's 40% STAR, 40% CCMR, 20% graduation rate. Then we have domain 2A, which is for elementary and middle school, academic growth, and then high school has, that's academic growth, sorry. And then 2B is for elementary and middle school, STAR, but rated with our eco-DIS percentage, and then high school has the CCMR added in there as well. And again, that's scaled on our eco-DIS. So whichever is the highest of those 3 makes up 70% of the campus's overall score, and then the remaining 30% is domain 3, which is broken up into those 4 components: academic achievement at the MEETS level, academic growth, EL proficiency, and then STAR performance. And then again, high school has graduation rate and CCMR as well. Okay, so taking a look at, you have a booklet here. We are going to be looking at not that first report, but the second report, where you can see the comparison between the 2 years. Okay, so we are starting off with elementary and middle school, and I am going to be looking at just the overall ratings, first of all. So we have our top 5 overall campuses was, we'll start with Honey with a 94, Miller with 92, Wester 92, Whiteside 91, and then Wilson with 91. So those were, again, just their overall rating. Those were the highest elementary and middle school numbers. And then for growth, which is really exciting to see, this is comparing their overall number from 2025 to this year. We had Parsons with a 14-point gain, Brown had a 12-point gain, Dunbar had a 9-point gain, Alderson 8 points, and Irons 7 points. Very exciting to see that growth there. And then moving on to high school, our top 3 campuses for high school overall were Talkington at 99, Lubbock High at 91, and Monterey at 91. Yay, very exciting. And then for growth, we had, from 25 to 26, Coronado had an 8-point gain, They were at that 89, so real close. That's almost heartbreaking, but wait, good job for them.
Yeah.
And then Estacado with the 5-point gain, and they were at that 79 right there. So again, almost the next letter grade. And then Monterey with the 3-point gain, getting them that A this year. Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw Monterey's video. It is, we'll send
Yeah.
it to
Post
you.
in-
Okay, yep.
It was such a good video. So good. Okay, so moving on to the district. So remember, the district is rated proportionally. So each of the domains, and it's taken by the campuses based on their enrollment. Okay, so their 3 through 12 enrollment, however many students they have, that's the percent that each campus counts for the district. Okay, so for the domains, for domain 1, the district was at a C with 78. Domain 2 in academic growth, that was a C at 75. Domain 2B, which is relative performance, that was a B at 83. And then for closing the gaps, we were at a C for 79. So again, it's the best out of those 3. So the best for us was domain 2B, which is an 83. And then the remaining 30% was that C. And so overall, that brings us up to our 82. So increase of 2 points from last year. So again, exciting. Okay, and so moving on, we're going to look at distinctions, and you can see the distinctions. It's the next page.
And we just saw distinctions yesterday for the first time.
Oh,
So
good.
this is new information.
Yes, and so I had to get that together on a report to fix. It was
Did you go
even
to bed last night? I'm thinking not.
so the distinctions. If you look at this page, you can see more clearly the next.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay, flip 2 pages over. 2 pages over. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay, so for the distinctions, campuses are compared against 40 comparable schools. Okay, so in the state, they choose 40 schools that are comparable to that campus, and that's how they are rated. So distinctions, there are distinctions in academic achievement for reading, language, arts, math, social studies, and science, and then top 25% for comparative academic growth, closing the gaps, and post-secondary readiness. Okay, so we have for academic achievement in reading, language, arts, we have these 16 campuses. That's Irvin, Hardwick, Honey, McWhorter, Miller, Ramirez, Roberts, Smith, Wester, Wheelock, Whiteside, Hutchinson, McCool, Lubbock High, Monterey, and Talkington. All gains the reading distinction. For math, we had 15 campuses. That was Bayless, Honey, Machen, Miller, Ramirez, Roberts, Wester, Whiteside, Williams, Hutchinson, McCool, Estacado, Lubbock High, Monterey, and Talkington. And for science, we had 14 campuses. That was Bayless, Miller, Parsons, Rush, Smith, Wester, Wheelock, Whiteside, Hutchinson, McCool, Estacado, Lubbock High, Monterey, and Talkington. For social studies, that's only available for middle school and high school because elementary does not take a social studies test. And we had Evans, Hutchinson, Estacado, Lubbock High, Monterey, Talkington. For the top 25% comparative academic growth, there were 16 campuses, and that's Bayless, Brown, Honey, Machen, Miller, Ramirez, Roberts, Rush, Wester, Wheelock, Whiteside, Williams, McCool, Coronado, Monterey, and Talkington. And for closing the gaps, we had 13 campuses at Bayless, Brown, Honey, Machen, Miller, Rush, Wester, Wheelock, Whiteside, Williams, McCool, Coronado, Monterey, Talkington. And then finally, for post-secondary readiness, there were 16 campuses, and that was Bayless, Brown, Honey, Machen, Miller, Ramirez, Roberts, Smith, Wester, Whiteside, Hutchinson, McCool, Coronado, Lubbock High, Monterey, and Talkington. Okay. So to summarize the distinctions, we had 4 campuses earning all of their distinctions. That would be 6 for elementary, 7 for secondary. That was Miller, Wester, Whiteside, and Talkington earned all of their distinctions. And then campuses earning all but 1 distinction. So again, that's 5 for elementary and 6 for secondary. We had Bayless, Honey, McCool, Lubbock High, and Monterey. Okay, and that's all I have for you. Are there any questions?
Yeah. I think lots of academic progress, but I'm assuming in student achievement, we'll talk about where we've got some concerns, and I know y'all have done a lot of planning and what we're going to do about those as well. But lots of good news here, so we're really proud of everybody who's poured into kids, because that's what it's really about.
Yep.
And those that were on that cusp, they need to be celebrated too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I have to reiterate what Nancy said, we've got a lot of work to do with our other schools, so they don't fall in between the cracks, when they're already there, so we need to get them out.
But,
A lot of work.
yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Good job. Good job on the numbers, and good congratulations to the campuses.
Definitely.
Lots of improvement. Sometimes just almost there, almost there. But our percentage of students served by an A or B campus has increased, and so,
Started tracking that, we were at 42%
right.
of our students in the ARB campus, and we are now at 62%.
62%.
So it's still not the 80 that is our North Star goal, but we have come,
Yeah.
We're progressing, that's what matters.
so
But we'll talk about
again, lots
how we get
room
there.
for
Yeah.
growth, and we're going to work on that, but we have made some progress with our kids.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you very much.
No other comments there from anybody? Okay. All right. With that, then we will have an executive closed session will be held under the provisions of Texas Government Code Chapter 551. It is 7:57 a.m. and we are adjourned to closed session.
And those in the audience, we do not anticipate having any action items following executive session, so just do not anticipate that.
Yes. So y'all go do what you need to be doing.
Williams. Nat Williams is dear to my heart, and I love it with all my heart.
50 years ago, I stood in the library welcoming an innovative group of teachers, eager staff, and impressive students to a new year, a new school, and a new learning experience. A new concept with whimsical, winding pathways throughout the entire learning area. From the very beginning, we became a family. We were committed people to make a difference in every student's life.
It was wonderful to see students, former teachers and staff members. Everybody worked so wonderfully to put on this fantastic event. I just loved it. And my congratulations goes to them. My hat's off to them, really.
Over at Nat Williams, we don't need many doors.
You know, this school is just a sweet community. We, of course, as you heard in the song, have no walls. And so it's been such a sweet community. And so I'm looking forward to those last couple of years that we have in the building before we become a bigger and better school.
Dr. Kathy Rollo is with us in studio today. Dr. Rollo is our Lubbock ISD superintendent, and we are talking about the end of the school year. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first, what are your first thoughts as we wrap up the end of the school year?
Wow, this year flew by. I cannot believe it's almost here, but it has been a very good year and an exciting year. So.
Awesome. And what are you most proud of accomplishing this year?
You know, it's hard to pick one thing. I'm really proud of the academic progress, both from a standpoint of Lubbock ISD is a B-rated district. We grew from a C. But what I see as far as instructional quality in the classroom, I'm just really proud of the instructional fidelity and quality of teaching in our classrooms.
Awesome. And Lubbock ISD has seen progress on the 2025 bond projects. Can you share more about that?
Yes, and so you really haven't seen a whole lot of things yet other than some demolition, but we are deep in design of 3 new elementary schools. There are some things that have been happening with regard to safety that were part of that bond, and so very soon you'll start to see some actual construction.
Awesome. And what would you like to share with our students as we wrap up this year?
I hope that everyone has a wonderful summer, that you get some time to rest and relax and enjoy friends. But we are excited to see you back when school starts in August.
Awesome. And what would you say to the staff as they prepare to end the year?
Thank you for a fantastic school year. I hope that everyone has some much deserved rest this summer and comes back refreshed and ready for another great school year.
Perfect. And finally, we know that there's still work happening over the summer break. So what will you be looking forward to in the next school year?
Oh, really starting to see some of the construction on the projects. We're very excited about that. And then I also look forward to seeing our students continue to grow and thrive in Lubbock ISD.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. I hope you have a great summer.
You as well. Now, let's go on location to Lubbock High School for their student recognition ceremony.
Whether in academics, athletics, the arts, leadership, or even service, every student being honored tonight has contributed to our school and made it a better place.
Our annual ceremony helps recognize our students who have worked hard all year, not only in academics, but in clubs, in extracurricular activities, and even in sports. And so we use this night to honor all their hard work and dedication.
And to everyone here, students, staff, and families, this celebration belongs to you too. Your encouragement, mentorship, and belief in one another created a foundation for success.
The teachers get to honor their students and say, hey, we have seen what you've done throughout the whole year, and we recognize that, and we want to honor you in the best way possible.
James Alba Irwin, Skills USA Interactive Application and Video Game Development State.
The school has done this for several years. In fact, it's an annual thing that they've been doing ever since I've been an educator in the Lubbock ISD system. And so it's something that students look forward to, faculty and staff look forward to, and it's something that's going to continue on every year.
If you could please join me in giving these students a round of applause.
I think it's just important to honor each and every student for their hard work that they've done throughout the year.
Our All-Westerner winners are Kyla Bueno and Harrison Alexander.
Congratulations, Westerners. Just ahead, we'll visit Monterey High School to share one of the performances from the Seniors Direct Series. You're watching highlights on Lubbock ISD TV. We'll be right back.
Ugh, I lost my phone. How am I going to see LASD TV's shows and content? What's this? Hey, I can finally see all of LASD TV's content, and you can too. Be sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Lubbock ISD TV, and our YouTube at Lubbock ISD. You'll be able to see student-produced content, live sporting events, behind-the-scenes photos, and district information. Oh, and don't forget to check out our website, lubbockisd.org/TV, or watch us live on Optimum and Vexus Channel 12 to see full student-produced shows. I'm Leah White, and you're watching Lubbock ISD TV.
Hey, Chef Gooch here. Each week we're going to be diving into the world of culinary arts, whipping up some delicious dishes that you can master at home. Whether you're just starting out or looking to sharpen your skills, I've got the tips and tricks to help you cook with confidence. So grab your apron and let's get cooking with class.
Welcome back to Highlights. Seniors in Monterey High School's theater program put on special shows that they wrote and directed. Isira Ulara went on location for the production of Slam. Let's watch.
This is my senior direct, Slam.
Slam is about slam poetry. It was written by one of our seniors, and it's just about me as a teacher teaching 3 students how to express themselves and find their way throughout life using slam poetry.
What is slam poetry? It is an art form in which a person speaks truth, an art form in which everyone in the room shuts up and listens.
So I was reading the script and I realized that the teacher's very stern, but then I saw places throughout the lines that she's very heartfelt and that she really has some kindness to her, that she's teaching them through her heart. In her last days, because she has lung cancer, in her last days she chose to teach instead of being on the couch or being in a hospital. So I think that's truly strong of her.
I will teach you how to command a space, make yourself present, and do with purpose.
My favorite part was just with the cast, like just putting together the performance was so fun, being with my friends, performing, and like, because 2 of the seniors were performing with us, so it was just really heartfelt to perform with them one last time.
Do you see how when you started feeling something, I started to listen?
I honestly just fell in love with it, like just the community that we have. It's so like uplifting, and I felt like theater was a great place for me to be, and I love to perform. As soon as I got on the stage, I just felt like I was at home. So I honestly just fell in love with the art. I also see it as just a lifestyle. Like I see it as a way to get away from all my troubles, and I can come here and I just feel free to express myself and nobody can judge me. So it's more than a hobby to me. It's like one of my very first loves. Some advice I would give is do it. Like honestly, always try new things, because that's how I got into theater. I tried it out and I ended up loving it. So always try new things and yeah, just keep working hard.
Coming up on the calendar, Lubbock ISD's final day of classes will be Thursday, May 21st. This will be a half day. Staff will take part in professional development on Friday, May 22nd. High schools will hold graduation ceremonies starting Wednesday, May 20th with Talkington. Monterey graduates on Friday, May 22nd. Estacado, Lubbock High, and Coronado graduate on the 23rd. You can find all the details on our Graduation Central page at lubbockisd.org. Stay up to date with everything Lubbock ISD by downloading our app. It has a lot of updated features to help keep you connected with the district and your student's campus. Our app is free and easy to download. Just search for Lubbock ISD in the App Store or Google Play. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to be your host this year, but don't worry, our Lubbock ISD TV crew will be back in the fall to highlight more great opportunities. Only in Lubbock ISD.
This has been a production of the students and staff at Lubbock ISD